Self-doubt's a real thing. It stinks. It really, really does. But I'm going to give you 6 writing exercises to kick self-doubt to the curb. Hey guys, welcome back to Mommy Scribbles. My name is Dawn and I am your virtual writing and self-publishing coach. I am super pumped that you are here today because this is the place where we are going to rethink our writing, shut off that inner critic, and just play on the page. Today we're going to be talking about self-doubt. It's a real thing. People don't usually talk about it, but we need to address it and move past it, okay? So today I'm going to be giving you 6 writing exercises to help kick self-doubt to the curb because we don't need it, we don't want it, thank you, bye-bye, see ya, never. Okay? So let's get into it. Worst enemy to creativity is self-doubt. But if you have the guts to do it, then anything in life is worth writing about. After saying that we're going to do something like, write a book or anything majorly important in our lives, a lot of times self-doubt starts to creep in. And if we find ourselves thinking that our stories are not interesting enough or not as good as somebody else's, like that person is way better than me and I'm terrible, but I'm just not good enough. But we may even think our story is just silly and it's just not worth our time. Then we're probably experiencing a little resistance, okay? So for this first exercise, I want you to pretend that you are your protagonist for 5 minutes, beginning with, "You would never know this by looking at me, but ... Again, you would never know this by looking at me, but... Write as fast as you can without thinking. Just pretend you are your main character and go. Pause the video and come back. So we're not writing our story yet, okay? We don't even know what it's gonna look like or sound like yet. So how can we even judge it? We've got pictures, right? In the last video we picked out our picture. Well, actually in the last video we started writing, but I think it was 2 videos ago we were looking at pictures. And so we kind of have an idea as to what's gonna happen. But what makes a story special, what makes it awesomely unique, is not really what happens, but more like how we show people the world of our story. We have to be willing to write the truth of the story so that it can come to life. So for this next exercise, I want you to write for 5 minutes, pretending that you are your protagonist, your main character, even if it's a pig. For 5 minutes, I want you to write, "Every time I think I'm going to get what I want, it seems that... Every time I think I'm going to get what I want, it seems that... Okay, so pause the video and come back. At this point, our only job is to be curious and ask questions about the people, the places, the things in our story. Sometimes our story lies under the surface and we kind of have to dig it out, get to the gold, writing down all the old ideas first before we can actually get to the good stuff, the truth. It might take a little bit before we start to get into a good flow, but I want you to stay loose with this and keep asking questions like, what would happen if this happened instead? Or what did they do? Why did they just do that? You are uniquely qualified to tell this story, okay? So don't worry about whether or not you have all the answers. We're just asking questions. We're being curious because God has already put the story inside of you. It's already there. You just have to be open and receptive to it, okay? So for this next exercise for 5 minutes, as your protagonist, you are going to write, starting with, I need to be forgiven for. I'm going to say that again. I need to be forgiven for, ... So pause the video and come back. Remember, you are your protagonist. You're pretending to be your main character, okay? So this can be a major shift for some of us. This is where we are dropping our defenses, and man, it can be a bit scary sometimes. I'm not going to lie. It's a little terrifying, a little bit, but we have to just keep on writing those images and ideas and little bits of dialogue as fast as we can. And if we start to run out of steam, that's okay. It happens. We can actually, to counter this, we can actually shift and start wondering about the antagonist from their viewpoint. Like, okay, what is the antagonist thinking right now? Like, what are they wanting to do? So a good antagonist, for example, is any character that stands in the way of our protagonist getting what they want. They are not necessarily terrible people. They don't have to be terrible and villains and stuff. An antagonist is just somebody who's standing in the way, okay? It could be a meaningful parent standing in the way of the son or the daughter, getting what they want. Watching and seeing our protagonist in conflict with the antagonist will actually reveal more images and ideas. We're not plotting our story by doing this, though. Okay, just be careful. We're just imagining the world and allowing it to appear. Whatever pops into our heads, okay? We're like little kids playing and pretending, okay? As if the characters have a mind of their own. We are not the boss of them, okay? So for this next exercise, I want you to pretend that you're your protagonist again, okay? And this time you're going to start with, the worst day of my life was the day that, ... Again, the worst day of my life was the day that, okay, so pause the video and come back. So think about the way a child tells a story. When you ask him a question, he gives you an answer without even hesitating. Like, it is what it is. This is the type of confidence that we need when we explore our story's world. There are no wrong answers in this. Children have a complete confidence in what they say and how they say it. There's no fear, just happy as can be as they sit and pretend and play in the sandbox of their minds, or, quite literally in the sandbox. Let's pretend like a child and see what happens, because you know what's going to happen? We're going to naturally move in the direction our story is supposed to go without figuring it out, okay? So for this next exercise, we are going to write for 5 minutes, starting with, I struggle with, ... Super fast without thinking, I struggle with, okay? Pause the video and come back. So one final thought about self-doubt. Instead of trying to get rid of it, let's just try writing through it. Let's try to make friends with it, so to speak, okay? Question it. Like, if I'm scared, I can ask myself, where does this fear live in my story? Is my character scared of something? Fear is there for a reason. When we work with our doubts and our fears, we grow as storytellers, and we start to see that the things in our lives, the things that happen personally that are not that great, are not something that we have to forcefully fix or solve, but by accepting that those things are happening, acknowledging it, and we just acknowledge that those things are there, then we can start to change and things will start to get better naturally, okay, without forcing anything and stressing out about things, okay? It's just like that for our story. So, this is the last exercise. For the next 5 minutes, as your protagonist, your main character, write, I cannot tolerate. I cannot tolerate. So I hope this video was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below if you are questioning your story, whether or not it's good enough. I would love to hear what you came up with for some of the exercises. And remember, you can do this. I believe in you because you are uniquely, awesomely you. Until next time, keep scribbling.